On a sheet of pale blue ice, no thicker than a kitchen floor, a female polar bear walks slowly along the seam where the ice meets the open sea. She has not eaten in 9 days. Beneath her, in the dark green water she cannot reach, 3,000 beluga whales have just arrived for the summer. She can hear them. She will not catch one. She is the polar bear, Ursus maritimus, the sea bear, largest land carnivore on the planet. An adult female of her size weighs 300 kilograms. The males here can pass 600. Her fur is hollow, transparent at the strand, lit by reflection rather than pigment. Beneath the fur, the skin is black. Beneath the skin, 10 centimeters of fat insulates her against 40 below winters in water near the point of freezing. This is the last week of sea ice on western Hudson Bay. When that ice is gone, she will come ashore. She will not eat again for 4 months. To understand her, you must first understand the bay. Hudson Bay is the largest inland sea in the world. 1.25 million square kilometers of cold, shallow water draining 1/4 of all the fresh water of Canada. Each year, in November, it freezes. Each year, in July, it thaws. It is the only large body of seawater on Earth that freezes completely solid every winter and melts completely open every summer. No other ecosystem on the planet operates on that rhythm. Every winter, the bay's surface ice becomes the largest temporary platform for a hunting predator anywhere in the northern hemisphere. In December, it locks together into a continuous sheet. By February, the bears of western Hudson Bay are out hunting ringed and bearded seals across hundreds of thousands of square kilometers of solid white ocean. In March, they catch seal pups in their snow dens. In April and May, they catch adult seals on the surface. These weeks are when a bear earns the entire year's energy. A successful hunter can put on 100 kilograms of fat between February and June. Then comes July. The ice cracks, the leads widen. By late July, the floes have broken into a slushy archipelago that drifts south on the bay's currents. By the second week of August, in most years, every floe has melted, and every bear on the bay must come ashore. When a polar bear comes ashore in summer, she enters what biologists call walking hibernation. Her metabolism slows. Her movement decreases. She eats almost nothing. Vegetation in trace amounts, the occasional snow goose chick, if she finds one, the carcass of a beluga that washes up on the rocks. None of it is meaningful nutrition. She is, in effect, running on the fat she packed on between February and June. How long can she do this? If she is hunted well in spring, perhaps 4 months. Pregnant females who must also den and give birth during this same fast sometimes go 8. A polar bear that comes ashore in a year when ice broke up early and has not packed on enough spring fat will simply not survive the open water season. Every July, the female we are following spends her last days on the failing ice. She has packed on perhaps 80 kilograms of fat since March. She walks the seam between ice and water, listening. She is listening for one specific sound. The wet exhale of a ringed seal coming up to breathe in a shrinking lead. In the last days before breakup, ringed seals concentrate at the few remaining breathing holes in the open leads. A patient bear, with luck, can still take one, but every year, the windows narrow. Every year, ice breakup comes a day or two earlier than the year before. In her lifetime, western Hudson Bay has lost almost a month of summer sea ice. That is a full month less hunting per year for every bear on this coast. As the bear walks her last days on the ice, another animal arrives that she cannot reach. The beluga whale, 3,000 of them, every July pour into the mouth of the Churchill River and the smaller estuaries along the western coast of the bay. One of the largest summer congregations of whales anywhere in the Arctic. A beluga is unusual among whales. It is small for its family. Adults are 5 meters long, half the length of a killer whale, and a beluga is wholly white, the only fully white whale on the planet. In the dark green water of the estuary, the pod looks at times like a school of ghosts. The beluga is also one of the most vocally complex of all the toothed whales. An entire underwater symphony of clicks, whistles, creaks, and what can only be described as conversational chirps. Each pod has signature calls. Mothers and calves have specific bonding contact calls. In some Arctic communities, the beluga has been called the canary of the sea for these vocalizations. Their voices carry through hulls, through ice, through meters of seawater. Why do they come to the Churchill estuary? Several reasons. layered. The river carries warm freshwater that, at the estuary, mixes with the cold salt of the bay, creating an unusually warm shallow zone for calves to grow. The river mouth is full of capelin and Arctic char, the small oily fish belugas depend on, and the gravelly riverbed offers, of all things, a giant scratching post. Belugas come to the Churchill to shed their old skin, dragging their bellies across the gravel to scrape away the dead layer accumulated under the winter ice. In the estuary, the females calve. In the estuary, the calves nurse. In the estuary, the entire western Hudson Bay beluga population gathers and reknits its social structure each summer. And just beyond the estuary mouth, the polar bears are coming ashore, hungry. The geography of these two animals is intimate. Their biology mostly keeps them apart. A polar bear cannot catch a healthy beluga. In open water, the bear is the slower swimmer by a wide margin. She can paddle at 6 kilometers an hour over short distances. A beluga can sustain 20. In the depth of an estuary, no contest. But there is one geometry in which the contest is not so clear. When the tide drops, the belugas concentrate in the deeper channels. Sometimes a calf strays. Sometimes a young beluga, separated from the pod, finds itself in water shallower than its body length. In those moments, a bear on the shore who has spotted the opportunity will rush. It is rare. It is brief, but it happens. In western Hudson Bay, fewer than a handful of successful beluga kills by polar bears have ever been documented in a single summer. But the behavior is real, and biologists believe it may increase as the open water season lengthens. A hungry bear on shore for an extra month is a bear with more reason to try. An overlap that was historically marginal is becoming slowly a feature of the season. But for the most part, in most years, the two animals share the bay without truly meeting. The whales rest, calves scratch, and feed in the estuaries. The bears walk the shore, lean and waiting. And the great green-gray body of Hudson Bay holds them both, the way it has for 10,000 years. By October, our female has been on shore for 2 months. She is thin. She is also pregnant. In her case, this changes everything. A pregnant polar bear does not simply wait out the summer for the ice to return. She must, before winter, locate or excavate a maternity den. She must enter that den. She must give birth inside it. And she must remain inside fasting for another 3 to 4 months. In western Hudson Bay, polar bears den in peat banks rather than in snow. In autumn, the female digs a tunnel into a peat hillside, often within 30 kilometers of the coast. By December, the snow has covered the entrance entirely. Inside, in a small chamber the size of a closet, she will give birth, typically to twin cubs, each weighing just over half a kilogram. Cubs no larger than a small loaf of bread, born blind, almost hairless, into the absolute darkness of the den. Inside the den, for the next 3 months, the female nurses her cubs on a milk that is 1/3 fat. Among the richest milks of any mammal on Earth. She produces it from her own dwindling fat stores. She does not eat. She does not drink. She does not urinate. Her body recycles waste back into amino acids. The cubs grow at extraordinary speed. By the time they leave the den in March, they will weigh 10 kilograms each, 20 times their birth weight. In March, the female digs out. She emerges blinking into a world she has not seen since November. Behind her, the cubs taking their first uncertain steps onto snow. They are small. They are pale. They have never seen the sky. She will spend the next 2 weeks teaching them to walk on snow, to climb on small drifts, to follow her at a distance. Then, when she is satisfied, she will lead them slowly back to the coast, to the sea ice she left in November. If the ice is still there, and these days that is no longer guaranteed, she will resume hunting. Her cubs will learn from her, watching her stalk seals at breathing holes. They will not hunt alone for 2 more years. The western Hudson Bay polar bear population has been studied longer than any other on Earth. 50 years of careful science. The trend is clear and unsentimental. The summer ice-free period has lengthened by nearly a month since the 1,980 seconds. The average bear is leaner. The average cub is smaller. The average reproductive success has dropped. Population in this subregion is about half of what it was 40 years ago. What follows is uncertain. The bears are an adaptable species. They have weathered glacial cycles before. Some populations further north, where ice is still robust, are stable or growing, but the southern populations, the ones that depend on a bay that fully thaws each summer, are on a curve that does not bend back. Without sea ice, there is no platform from which to hunt seals. Without seals, there is no fat. Without fat, the bears do not survive the open water season. In late July, on the last day before the final floe melts, our female watches a beluga pod surface in a lead 100 meters from her ice edge. 3,000 pale bodies in groups of 6 and 8 and 12, breathing in unison. She cannot reach them. She does not try. She watches. Then she turns and walks the last kilometer of ice to the south, toward the shore she will not leave again for 4 months. One bay, one bear, 3,000 whales, and between them, a melting ice edge that is not where it used to be, in a season that is not the length it used to be, in a world that is, in measurable ways, no longer the world the polar bear was shaped for. She has done what she came to do. She has hunted as much as the ice allowed. She has packed on the fat she could. In a few weeks, she will den again. In a few months, she will give birth in the dark. In a few months more, she will lead 2 small white cubs back to the bay that may or may not still hold the ice they need.